April 14, 1980. Tokyo's Nippon Budokan Arena was packed with over 14,000 spectators, but nobody, not a single soul in that building, knew they were about to witness one of the most legendary unreported moments in combat sports history. Muhammad Ali, the man who had shaken up the world, stood in the center of the ring. At 38, his professional boxing career was winding down, though his charisma blazed as bright as ever. The Larry Holmes defeat was still 7 months away, but those close to Ali could already see the signs, the slightly slower reflexes, the way he absorbed punishment that once would have glanced off him. Yet on this night in Tokyo, none of that mattered. He was still the greatest. Jackie Chan, still climbing toward international stardom, sat ringside as a special guest. At 26, he was between worlds famous in Hong Kong, virtually unknown in the West. His breakthrough film Drunken Master had exploded across Asia 2 years earlier, but Hollywood remained a distant dream. He wore a simple black suit, looking more like a businessman than the action icon he would become. The charity gala, the clash of titans East meets West, was meant to be simple: demonstrations, speeches, handshakes, but Ali never did simple. The former champion began addressing the crowd, his voice booming through the microphone with that distinctive Louisville cadence. He spoke about the beauty of martial arts, about Bruce Lee, his voice softening when he mentioned the little dragon who had died 7 years earlier, about the philosophies of East and West, about discipline transcending borders. The crowd hung on every word. Ali had that effect on people. When he spoke, you listened. Then, mid-sentence, he stopped. His eyes scanned the ringside seats, searching. Finally they locked onto their target. You. Ali's finger stretched across the ring like an accusation, pointing directly at Jackie Chan. They tell me you're fast. They tell me you can fight. They tell me you do all your own stunts, that you're the new Bruce Lee. The arena erupted. Cameras flashed from every direction. Jackie's eyes widened, that signature expression of shock and panic that would later become his trademark on screen. But this wasn't acting. This was genuine surprise. He waved his hands frantically, shaking his head with such vigor that his carefully combed hair fell across his forehead. The crowd laughed, thinking it was all rehearsed entertainment. It wasn't. Ali's security team tried to intervene. His longtime bodyguard, Pat Patterson, moved toward the ring apron, but the champion waved him off. Angelo Dundee, Ali's legendary cornerman, stood up from his seat, concern etched across his weathered face. But Ali had already made up his mind, and when Muhammad Ali made up his mind, heaven and earth couldn't change it. He gestured for Jackie to enter the ring. The crowd's laughter transformed into roaring anticipation. This wasn't on the program. Event organizers in their VIP section looked at each other in panic. This was Muhammad Ali being Muhammad Ali, unpredictable, magnetic, impossible to refuse. Jackie stood slowly. His manager, Willie Chan, grabbed his arm, whispering urgently in Cantonese, "Don't do it. You'll embarrass yourself. He's Muhammad Ali. This isn't a movie. There are no stunt coordinators, no safety wires, no second takes." But Jackie had studied Ali his entire life. Growing up in Hong Kong, living at the China Drama Academy, he'd watched every Ali fight he could find. He'd seen the Thriller in Manila on a grainy television, pressed against the window with dozens of others. He'd witnessed the rope-a-dope against George Foreman. This wasn't just the world's most famous boxer. This was an idol, a legend. How could he refuse? He climbed through the ropes, his hands slightly trembling. The canvas felt different under his feet than the mats he'd trained on. Less forgiving, harder. The lights were blindingly bright. The crowd's roar washed over him like a physical force. The moment Jackie stepped fully onto the canvas, the atmosphere shifted. What had been playful suddenly felt electric. Ali circled him, shoulders loose, feet dancing with that distinctive rhythm that had bewildered opponents for 2 decades. Even at 38, even past his prime, the movement was hypnotic. Then he did it, the famous Ali shuffle, his feet blurring in that mesmerizing rhythm that had humiliated countless opponents. His feet moved so fast, they seemed to multiply. The crowd gasped. This was Ali's signature, the move that separated him from every other heavyweight who had ever laced up gloves. Jackie backed up, his face a mask of theatrical terror, hands raised in surrender. The crowd ate it up, their laughter echoing through the Budokan. But beneath the performance, something else was happening. Jackie's body was calculating. His eyes tracked every micro-movement of Ollie's massive frame, the subtle weight shifts, the shoulder telegraphs, the way Ollie's center of gravity moved before his limbs did. "Come on, kid," Ollie shouted, his voice carrying across the arena. "Hit me, right here." He tapped his jaw with his right glove, the same jaw that had absorbed bombs from Joe Frazier, from George Foreman, from practically every dangerous heavyweight of the past 15 years. Jackie shook his head more vigorously, backing toward the ropes. His hands waved in front of him, the universal gesture of no, no, absolutely not. Ollie laughed, that big booming laugh that could fill stadiums. But there was something else in his eyes, a glint. The same look he'd had before the rumble in the jungle, before the Thrilla in Manila. He was testing something. The crowd began to chant. Ollie feinted left, then right. Jackie mirrored him, maintaining distance. The dance continued for what felt like minutes, but was probably only 30 seconds. Two masters from different disciplines, sizing each other up, communicating through movement in a language that needed no translation. Then, without warning, Ollie threw it. A massive right hook that came from somewhere beyond the atmosphere. It wasn't full power. Ollie had too much control for that. But it was real. It was Ollie. The glove cut through the air with a whistle that the microphones picked up, that ringside photographers would later say they could feel as a pressure wave. What happened next took less than 2 seconds, but those who witnessed it claim they saw it in slow motion. Jackie didn't block. Blocking would have been the boxer's response. He didn't duck, which would have been the wrestler's instinct. He grabbed the ring ropes with both hands and launched himself backward, his body inverting in a perfect reverse somersault, his legs folding tight against his chest. His feet cleared Ali's extended arm by inches. His body rotated once, completely, a full 360-degree revolution in the air. The trajectory was perfect, the form immaculate. He landed behind the champion, light as a cat, his knees absorbing the impact with barely a sound. Before Ali could turn, before his brain could fully process that his opponent had somehow teleported from in front of him to behind him, Jackie reached up and tapped him on the shoulder with 2 fingers. "Tag," Jackie said in English, his accent thick, but his timing absolutely perfect. The Nippon Budokan went absolutely silent for half a heartbeat. 14,000 people collectively held their breath. Then the arena exploded. The roar was unlike anything the venue had ever contained. It was the sound of witnessing the impossible, of seeing something that would live in memory forever. Ali spun around, his face a mixture of shock, delight, and something else, respect. Deep, genuine respect. He'd faced the hardest punchers in boxing history, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Sonny Liston, but he'd never in his entire career seen anyone move like that. "Did you see that?" Ali yelled to the crowd, his voice cracking with excitement, pointing at Jackie with both gloves. "Did you see that? This kid I don't even know what he just did. Did he fly?" The crowd roared their approval. Cameras flashed so rapidly, the ringside area looked like a lightning storm. Japanese commentators shouted into their microphones, their voices climbing octaves. In the VIP section, event organizers forgot their panic and simply stared, mouths open. What came next, nobody expected. Ali dropped his gloves, letting them fall to his sides. He walked toward Jackie, and for a moment the younger man tensed, ready to move. But Ali wasn't attacking. He opened his arms wide and wrapped Jackie in a bear hug, lifting him completely off the ground. "You're fast, little brother," Ali whispered, loud enough for the ringside microphones to catch. "You're faster than anyone I ever fought. Bruce would be proud. Bruce would be so damn proud of you." The mention of Bruce Lee, Jackie's friend, his sometime mentor, the ghost that haunted every Asian martial artist of that era, hit Jackie like a physical blow. His eyes filled with tears that he tried desperately to blink back, his throat constricted. The crowd didn't know why the moment had suddenly turned emotional, but they felt it. The entire arena felt it. Ali set him down gently and raised Jackie's hand high, presenting him to the crowd like a champion. The roar intensified. Every camera in the building pointed at them. This was no longer an exhibition. This had become a passing of the torch, a moment of mutual respect between two men who represented different worlds but understood the same truth. Greatness recognizes greatness. But the night wasn't over. As the applause continued, as the crowd chanted both their names, Ali leaned close to Jackie again, his mouth next to the younger man's ear. His voice dropped to barely a whisper. "There's someone here tonight," Ali said, his voice suddenly serious. "Someone who wants to meet you. After we're done here, find the east corridor, under the seats. Room 7. Don't bring cameras. Don't bring your manager. Come alone." Jackie nodded, confused but intrigued, his heart still pounding. Ali released his hand and returned to center ring, soaking in the adoration of the crowd. The exhibition continued with planned demonstrations, karate masters breaking boards, judo throws, traditional weapon forms, but the energy had peaked. Everyone knew they'd witnessed something unrepeatable. An hour later, after the formal events concluded, after the arena began emptying, Jackie slipped away from his handlers. Willie Chan was talking to a Japanese promoter. The other members of Jackie's entourage were gathered around a catering table. Jackie found the east corridor, a dimly lit concrete passage beneath the stadium seats that smelled of old sweat and industrial cleaner. The walls were plain cinder block, fluorescent lights hummed overhead. His footsteps echoed in the emptiness. Room 7 had a plain metal door with no markings. He knocked. The door opened immediately, as if someone had been waiting right behind it. Inside was a small dressing room. Ali sat on a bench, still in his white robe with the red trim. But he wasn't alone. Standing next to him was a figure Jackie recognized instantly. Antonio Inoki, the legendary Japanese wrestler, who had faced Ali in their infamous boxer versus wrestler match 4 years earlier in 1976. A brutal 15-round affair that had left both men bloodied, had damaged Ali's legs so severely he'd been hospitalized, and had ultimately been declared a draw that satisfied nobody. "Jackie Chan," Inoki said in accented but clear English, bowing slightly. "Ali told me what you did out there. We've been discussing something, and we wanted to talk to you about it." Jackie looked between the two legends, utterly confused. Was this some kind of challenge? Had he offended Ali somehow? He sat on the edge of the bench, his body tense. Ali stood, his imposing frame somehow looking vulnerable in the harsh fluorescent light. "What you showed tonight, kid," Ali began, his voice softer now, more contemplative. "That's what I was looking for. Proof that different styles can coexist without destroying each other." Inoki continued. "When Ali and I fought in 1976, people thought it would answer the ultimate question, which is superior, boxing or wrestling? But it answered nothing. It only created more division, more arguments. The fight was called a draw after 15 rounds, but really, both sides lost something that night." He paused, his eyes growing distant. "I spent most of the match on my back, kicking at Ali's legs. Ali circled and jabbed, barely engaging. Neither of us could fully express our art. It was like two painters forced to create with only one color." Ali nodded. "We hurt each other for no good reason. I was hospitalized for blood clots, and afterward, lying in that hospital bed, I realized something. The question isn't who would win. The question is what we can learn from each other." He looked directly at Jackie. "You didn't try to beat me tonight. You didn't try to prove Kung Fu is better than boxing. You played. You showed creativity. You made 14,000 people smile, not because someone got hurt, but because someone did something beautiful. That," Inoki added, "is the future. Not fighters trying to destroy each other to prove cultural superiority, but artists showing mutual respect, artists understanding that we're all expressing the same human truth through different languages." Jackie finally found his voice. "Why are you telling me this? I'm nobody. I'm just an actor who does Kung Fu movies." Ali smiled, and for a moment the showman disappeared. "Because you're going to be famous, kid, really famous. Bigger than Bruce, if you do it right. And when you are, people are going to ask you to prove Kung Fu is the best. They're going to want you to challenge other fighters. They're going to want you to destroy people to prove yourself." He squeezed Jackie's shoulder. "Don't do it. You've got something special, you can fight, but you'd rather make people laugh. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. That's something it took me 30 years to learn, and you already know it at 26. Inoki stepped forward. In Japan, we have a concept, wa harmony. Not the absence of conflict, but the skillful navigation of it. You demonstrated that tonight without even knowing it. Jackie shook both their hands, overwhelmed. These weren't just athletes. These were men who'd shaped global culture, who'd learned lessons in blood and sweat that they were now passing down to him. One more thing, Ali said as Jackie turned to leave. That move you did, the flip behind me. Could you teach me that? Jackie burst out laughing, the tension breaking. Mr. Ali, you are too tall. You would hit your head on the lights and crash through the canvas. Ali grinned. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Different styles, different bodies, different approaches, no better or worse, just different. As Jackie left the room and walked back through the concrete corridor, he felt something in his pocket. Ali must have slipped it there during the hug. He pulled it out, a Polaroid photograph from earlier that night. It showed the moment right after the flip. Ali's face was frozen in shock. Jackie was behind him, one hand on Ali's shoulder, the other raised in triumph. On the back, in Ali's distinctive handwriting, to Jackie, stay fast, stay funny, stay humble. The world needs artists, not warriors. Your brother Muhammad Ali, Tokyo 1980. Jackie would frame that photograph. It would hang in every home he ever owned, every office he ever worked in. Years later, when he became the international superstar Ali predicted, when people challenged him to MMA matches or boxing exhibitions, when critics questioned whether his film fighting was real, Jackie would look at that photograph and remember that night in Tokyo. He remembered the lesson Ali and Inoki taught him, that true greatness isn't about proving superiority, it's about transcending the need to prove anything at all. The story of April 14, 1980, never made major headlines. A few Japanese newspapers mentioned an impromptu demonstration at the charity gala. Some grainy photographs circulated in martial arts magazines, but the footage was never released commercially, buried somewhere in television archives. But those who were there, all 14,000 of them, carried the story forward. It became legend, whispered among martial artists, debated in late-night training sessions, embellished with each retelling, until the truth became almost impossible to separate from myth. Did Jackie really flip behind Ali? Did Ali really hug him and whisper about Bruce Lee? Did the meeting in room 7 actually happen? Jackie Chan himself remained curiously quiet about the incident for decades. In interviews, when asked about meeting Ali, he would smile mysteriously and say only, "I learned more in 5 minutes with Muhammad Ali than in 5 years of training." Muhammad Ali, before Parkinson's disease, severely limited his speech, occasionally referenced a kid in Tokyo who showed me something about movement I'd never seen, and Antonio Inoki, in a 2014 interview, simply said, "Some moments are too perfect to analyze. You had to be there, and if you weren't, I'm sorry for you." The truth is, it doesn't matter whether every detail is accurate. What matters is what that night represented. Two legends from different worlds, meeting in the middle, choosing respect over rivalry, laughter over violence, and wisdom over ego. In an era that increasingly celebrated cross-discipline combat, that fetishized who would win scenarios, that demanded fighters prove their style's superiority through blood, 3 men in a Tokyo arena offered a different vision. They suggested that maybe, just maybe, the greatest victory isn't defeating your opponent. Maybe it's making them your brother.